open things up to questions. Coach?
Obviously, very happy for our guys to get a win over our biggest rival. Certainly not the way we wanted to start the game, but I was very proud of the way the guys came out at halftime and played in the third quarter. And give Hopkins credit. I just felt like they played with a little more juice early in the game, and were certainly opportunistic. And when we made some mistakes, they capitalized big time. So in these rivalry games, anything can happen. That team continues to get better and better. And I think they probably will be playing their best at the end of the season, given the dynamics right now. So, want the guys to enjoy it, but also realize that, come tomorrow and Monday, we got a big challenge ahead of us next week.
So, Coach, they held you to 17 shots in the first half. In the third quarter, you guys get 15 shots on goal in that kind of 8-0 quarter, but 10-0 scoring run. What were they doing offensively and defensively to slow you guys down so much in that first half?
Yeah, we expected long possessions. There was an article in the paper, and it just talked about, I think they had 3 or 4, maybe 2-3 players. And one of the coaches talked about how last week against Michigan, when they were patient, that was their best play. So obviously, you connect the dots a little bit and you realize, they're going to set up, they're going to get organized, and they're going to work the ball. And we talked to our defense all week about, you got to be ready to dig in and play long possessions, and got to be up for the challenge, which I thought the guys did a good job with. We had a couple breakdowns, just some self-inflicted wounds, but also some things that, they have good players, and they're going to put some stress on you. And again, they made some plays. Certainly a couple we would love to have back that were like either late at the end of the quarter or late at the end of a shot clock. And again, that means they got it all the way down, long possession, and got a goal. I think on the offensive end, we just, we had some silly turnovers. I thought they were packing in, they were sliding, and I felt like at times we were just playing a little too rushed. And once we spread the field and we changed the field and shared the ball and moved a little bit more, we were fine. And we've kind of morphed into, offensively over the last 3 years, we just become a team that does move a lot more. And when we don't do that, and we don't cut, and we don't kind of change the field, we're just not the same team, and a team that is as organized as Hopkins, because I think Jamison Kessler does a good job. They're going to take advantage, and they're long, and it's hard to really replicate in that practice. They would slide and they'd stay on it and they'd get to our hands. And I thought that was very effective for them.
Coach, can you talk about Logan's evolution as a passer since coming here? Set a career high with 7 assists today. Looked really good.
Yeah, Logan, what can you say? He's, kind of, we always joke, kind of the consummate pro, just always working on his game. He's always watching his film. He's always staying after practice, working out diligently, taking care of his body. Lacrosse is really important to him. He's kind of a no nonsense guy, very dialed in and just loves to play. It's a lot of fun for him. But he's a guy that, just haven't been out there a ton. He just makes great decisions. If you leave him alone, he can hammer the ball. If you're a little late, he can find the open man, which he certainly did today. But he's a consistent guy that every day when you go out to practice, you know what you're getting. And again, when your best players share the ball like that, then everybody shares it. So we're lucky to have an older guy like that sets such a good example.
Hey, Coach, when Jared scored the goal to put you up 8-7, took a rather cheap hit, do you think the team was spurred on a little bit because they really woke up then offensively?
Yeah, I think, sometimes that can happen. I think, sometimes those become momentum goals, you could take a little offense to it, and that all of a sudden the guys, get a little extra jolt. And I thought that was helpful. Again, I thought the guys responded really well. We were hoping to have a good start to the third quarter. I would never have guessed it would have been an 8-0 third quarter. But again, I give the guys credit. They started to feel some momentum and they just kind of rode that wave.
Coach, just curious, were you upset that the game wasn't on TV, regular non-pay TV? How can a Hopkins Maryland game be like not on ESPN or Big Ten rather than it just has to be pay-per-view?
I think if you asked our alums, they'd feel very strongly about that. You ask me, like, I just like being part of the game, I think it's always a great game. So you would think there'd be a lot of interest. But I'm not such a big TV media guy. So I know you guys are awesome at what you do. But stuff like that, that's out of my control. I just, I have, 49 guys that are going through COVID that have a lot on their plate. So anything out of my control in terms of that type of stuff, I'm going to leave to the great people like Keith and they can, in our administration. My focus is our guys. They're making so many sacrifices and it's really hard for them right now. I'm really concerned about them because they're social creatures and they're used to being in class with their classmates and they're just kind of doing the opposite right now. And I'm worried about them. And I think all of our coaches in every sport are. So that's something every week that goes by, I get more and more concerned about just because it's so different. And, you just worry about the disconnect and things like that. So they've done a really good job internally of taking care of each other, but it is something that I think we all have to keep an eye on for sure.
Hey, Coach Tillman, this is Alex Foam at WDB. I'm sorry if this has been asked already, but I just want to know, what was your message at halftime and what do you think inspired these guys in the third quarter and how impressed were you with the way they came out and played that entire quarter?
I think you got to give Hopkins credit. They played a good first half and they had some timely goals and, they made some plays. Cole right in front of our bench, got topside one time and then another time and made some plays. And when we slid, they found the open guy. There was one time where Logan, our goalie, went to go out and pick off the pass and didn't quite make it and they turned and scored. And again, so give credit where credit's due. I think a couple things on that end, if we just did a little better job with our on-ball presence, which I thought the guys did in the second half, and we timed up our slides, that would help us. And then offensively, just catching our breath and not playing so rushed and just, being a little bit more patient and realizing, they were condensing things and we just needed to move them a little bit more because if we just had one dodge and was looking for something, it just wasn't going to be there. So the guys get it. They really care. It's a fine line sometimes because we want our guys to be aggressive. We have a ton of trust in them. We're trying to play aggressively and fast. But sometimes, you go really fast like that and you have a silly turnover and you just have to let it go because, at the end of the day, you're going to have some of those and you hope that you're going to have more good ones than bad ones. And I believe in these guys. I believe that they would. So the theme was stick together, stay positive. Can we play better? And everybody was like, yeah. And it's like, okay, we're going to play better. We need to just reset, start fresh and don't let maybe some of the frustrating plays of the first half catch up with us. Believe in each other, stay true to the process and you'll be fine. And again, I never would have guessed it would have been 8-0, but I was hoping that we could come out strong and execute at a higher level.
And kind of real quick follow-up, going back to the last question, the way you're talking about the way this year is and how tough it has been for everyone. Did you feel like these guys had an extra motivation, extra desire to kind of go out and win that trophy today and come out on top in the rivalry?
Well, I think for a couple reasons. Yeah, it's a rivalry game. The last three they had gotten. So you got to give them credit. And I think for our older guys, they knew that. So there was a lot of pride there. And listen, I think it was a tough week for Coach Benson. Awkward situation. I told the guys after the game, I spent 12 years at Navy. That game was always hard for me. A lot of relationships, a lot of time there, a lot of great memories. So this was going to be a tough week. And I give Bobby so much credit. He always made it about the guys. He never drew any attention to himself. It was just, hey, we're going to prepare you and get you ready. He was a consummate pro, but I really appreciate our guys. They were really happy for him after. Bobby's made a lot of sacrifices to be here. His family's in Atlanta. His kids were here today, which was great. Again, I'm just thankful for our guys just railing around him and supporting him, just like I know Bobby would do for them. So pretty good stuff. And again, I think we'll see more and more of Bobby's influence as we go along, the longer he's here, because he's really only been here a couple months.
Time for a couple more, guys.
Hey, Coach.
Thank you.
Justin won 17 of 29 faceoffs today. Just how pivotal was his performance bouncing back after last week against Penn State, particularly in that third quarter when you guys were on that run, continuing to get you guys possessions?
No doubt. And kind of getting back to your halftime question, like that was one thing we did mention was that, hey, Shock's doing a great job, and he was getting us the ball. So there was, a sign of optimism, knowing that if he could continue to do that, like good things would happen. And I give Shock a lot of credit. Obviously, the start of last week's game did not go the way he wanted. I thought Connor stepped up and just really helped us big time. Numbers weren't great, but he did enough for us just to kind of give us a flow offensively and get us some possessions. But I love Shock's grit today. There were times where he didn't necessarily just win the ball clean. He stayed in the fight, got some tough grounders. He navigated some pressure, found the right guy, kept it simple. And again, to me, that's so much of what athletics is all about. Like, you get into the ring and we're playing great teams. Like sometimes like the other team just, gets the best of you individually and you don't have a great game. It's what you do next. And I thought Anthony DeMeo, same thing. He was really frustrated last week. Came out and got a couple quick ones for us today. So I was happy for him there. And we needed those because we did not play well early and we got some quick goals that almost made it seem like the game was even. I felt like they really outplayed us early in this game, no doubt about it.
Hey, Tills, just wanted to ask about the second halves of the last two games. You guys got yourself in tight situations. How much do you feel like those performances are going to be able to help you down the road, having put together those types of 30-minute stretches like you did the last two games?
Listen, I think you can always go back and kind of refer to that. And hey, just know, like regardless of what goes on, hit the reset button and great opportunities are in front of you if you let the old plays go and you stick to what we do and you believe in each other. And listen, I went back and I looked at statistically in the 2019 games. We had a 6-2 lead in one of those games, and we had I think a 6-1 lead in one of those games. So that was something that we talked about even during the game is like, even when we got up, it's like, listen, we've been up before. We can't let this go. Like we got to keep pushing, stay focused, don't let it go. And again, this group, there's just something about this group. The leadership has been tremendous. I look back at those 19 games and I saw so many young guys, Brett Makar and Alex Smith and John Geppert and, just a lot of those guys, Bubba's, just a lot of guys that were freshmen or sophomores that are still with us that, those were big games and they were young guys and they're not young guys anymore. And again, that experience and that leadership of just sticking together and, hey guys, follow me, that goes a long way. We do have a couple young guys playing, but for the most part, a lot of the guys that were here last year are leading the way, and there's a lot of comfort with that. It doesn't mean that everything's gonna work out your way, but man, when you have guys that have been through it before, there is some confidence you get from that, not only the coaches, but the players, and I think them and themselves.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll get the players in here now.
Thanks, guys.
Nick Grill, be up first.